Hey there Rhetorians, welcome to another deck review video. My name is Rhetorus and today we're going to take a look at the Dark Destruction Fang theme deck from the Crimson Invasion set. I feel like I'm a little bit, I don't know, pink. It's perhaps my lighting issues, issues, because I don't have the best lighting yet. But anyways, let's move on to the deck review. I'm not red, I have to admit that I'm not red, at least not yet. I'm going to start with the stats, my stats. 34 overall played. Maybe I need to just do that for you to see, because I usually place my face there. And 24 overall wins. Can you see that? I assume that you can see that, but in case that you cannot, that is my stats right now. I've played 34 games and I've won 24 of them. That is 70% win rate, and this is more than what I had on the Clanging Thunder deck, which I assumed that Clanging Thunder is better. Now I will change my assumption and say the following, and I'm going to go straight to the deck review, I promise, after I say that. Clanging Thunder, it is way better, but Destruction Fang, it is way more stable if it doesn't play against Clanging Thunder. So this is my theory now, that Destruction Fang is way more stable than Clanging Thunder, but if you have to face Clanging Thunder with Destruction Fang, you are doomed. But if you're playing Destruction Fang and you are against almost any other theme deck out there, you are very good to go. So the only thing that you are afraid with this deck is perhaps the mirror match and Clanging Thunder. Everything else you probably can win. Alright, with that being said, let's go for the deck review. One more thing before going for the deck review. I usually like to say that when I end my deck review, but I'm gonna say it right now because it is very important. Yes, it's worth purchasing it. Go and purchase it. It is fantastic. It is an awesome deck. So let's go. Let's start with it. We start with 3 Hundur, which I'm not really going to analyze, just the basic Pokemon, basic attacks, that is pretty much it, but it evolves into Hundum, which we have 2 of them, and this is the first rare of the deck. So Hundum is a good rare, at least a decent rare. It's a decent threat. Unfortunately, it cannot deal 120 damage, which is what we would like, what we would expect from this deck to have, mainly because I'm going to do a lot of comparisons with the Clanging Thunder. By the way, if you have not watched this, check it out in the card right above me. Check out the Clanging Thunder theme deck review. It is a very decent deck. But let's move on. I'm going to make a lot of comparisons, so if you have not watched the theme deck for Clanging Thunder, the deck review for Clanging Thunder, perhaps you should go there first. So Clanging Thunder has those Gastrodones which deal 120 damage, so this cannot beat that, because it has 90 damage maximum attack. So with 2 energy, Fire Fang, 30 damage plus a burn, which is not that good, because burn deals 20 damage first time, and then it's a coin flip if it's going to remain or not. If it does remain and your opponent doesn't remove it with any way, it's going to deal 70 damage in 1 turn, because it is this between turns thing, but your opponent is going to have the option to attack back. It's not a 70 damage boom, because 70 damage boom would be a knockout in some occasions, but anyways, let's not go that way. And with 3 energy deals 90 damage, with this attack's damage isn't affected by resistance, which, to be honest, it's quite rare to see resistance on darkness. It is quite rare, unfortunately, but anyways, the extremely bad thing is the weakness to fighting, which is crucial, very crucial, especially against Clanging Thunder. Let's move on. But overall, a good card. Seriously, I found myself preparing this as my next threat, because it can deal with quite a few Pokemon, and especially with Professor Kukui, it can deal with quite a few more Pokemon, and of course, itself. Basically, you can defeat your opponent's Hundum. So, then next we have 3 Dinos, and I'm not going to analyze this card, even though I like this surprise attack. It is very I would hate to be in a position where I would depend on a surprise attack, which says with 3 energy, 60 damage, flip a coin, if tails, this attack does nothing. But at least have the option to hope for something, and 60 damage is quite a lot. We have 2, I believe, Zweilous. Yes, 2 Zweilous. With 2 energy, 30 damage, that's not that good, but with 3 energy, double hit, flip 2 coins, deal 60 damage for each head. That is a lot improved from the what it was called surprise attack. It is a double hit. I would not bet for 120 damage, but I would hope for 60 damage at least. So this is a lot better, way many chances. And then we have Hydreigon, 2 of them. One of them being holo rare and the other being a normal rare. This is the featured card of this deck, and it has the ability weed out. Once during your turn, you may choose 3 of your bench Pokemon, then discard your other bench Pokemon. Don't confuse that. I did confuse that. I thought that I would choose the Pokemon that I'm going to discard. Instead, you choose the Pokemon that you will keep. I did that mistake and I kept the worst Pokemon and I discarded the best Pokemon. So please keep that in mind. You choose the Pokemon that you're going to keep, not the Pokemon that you're going to discard. I did that mistake and it was horrible. Don't do it. And with 3 energy again, Dark Distraction, 120 damage, you may discard an energy from this Pokemon. If you do, discard an energy from your opponent's Pokemon, guarantee, from your opponent's active Pokemon, guarantee. It's no coin flips, nothing. So if you have the, the energy advantage, if for example your opponent's active Pokemon requires 3 energy in order to attack at all, and your opponent has only 1 energy, or 2 energy rather, you can constantly, every single turn, until you knock this Pokemon down, discard this 1 energy and he's going to be always 1 energy short. Very important, very powerful. Unfortunately, I never been in a position where I used this for that specific reason. I've always used it in situations where my opponent needed 3 energy to do the attack. He had 3 energy. I discarded 1 and hoped that he would not draw a replacement. But overall, I think that this Dark Distraction, this you may discard thing, might lock our opponent very heavily. It is possible. You should not depend on it, but it can definitely ruin your opponent's day. And that, my friend, is the featured card. Unfortunately, it has weakness to fighting, even though from a flying Pokemon and a dragon, I would really appreciate not having a weakness. And especially in this occasion, I would really appreciate not having a weakness to fighting because of Clanging Thunder, but nevertheless it has resistance to Psychic, which is very important because there is a Lunala out there which is cutting, you know, bad words off. Okay, so Hydreigon, very good card, at least for the theme deck category. Let's move on with Mawile. I cannot pronounce this card. It is a metal type Pokemon that has nothing to do with metal. I mean, we don't need metal type energy for this one. 80 damage, 80 HP, I'm sorry. With 1 energy, call for family, search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. Something like a Pokemon Fan Club trainer card, but not really. I found myself using this one, even though I prefer not to. And with 2 energy, Crunch, 30 damage. Oh, I would love a Crunch. Do you have Crunch in USA? The chocolate, the white chocolate with rice and oh, let's abandon this talk altogether. So Crunch, 30 damage, flip a coin, if heads, discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Again, this deck plays quite a bit with energy distraction. I have never used Crunch, I believe, and I would really prefer not to go with Mawile as my attacking Pokemon. Best case scenario, I will just use it, bench those 2 Pokemon that I'm missing. Obviously, I'm going to have the evolutions on my hand, and I'm going to just fix the very bad, you know, bench. And then I'm going to probably retreat it and continue with my life. Unfortunately, we have 2 of these, but that is okay. Next on, we have 3 Staffel, which is a bad card with 3 energy, 2 energy, 30 damage, not good at all. But it evolves to this Beware and Be Aware of the Bear. Not fun anymore, I know, but I use it quite often. I'm always aware of Beware. This card is good, mainly because of the ability. Rake it in. And as we can see from the artwork, it is really a rake it in attack. Maybe. But anyways, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may draw 3 cards. Do not underestimate this draw power of Beware. It is very, very, very powerful. Also, it is a 130 HP Pokemon, which means that it cannot get knocked out with 1 hit from your opponent's Hydreigon. Very important. It cannot get knocked out from your opponent's 120 basic damage, rare Pokemon. No, unless it is something like a fighting type, which is a terrible disaster for this deck entirely because of the weakness to fighting. But anyways, you will probably not put this card in your active spot, most usually no, mainly because of this very heavy 3 energy dangerous blow, which is 60 damage plus 60 more if your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic Pokemon. To be honest, most often it's not gonna be, but sometimes it will be, and when it is, this guy is very powerful. But you most often will not invest energy in this guy unless you do it with a this thing right here, which we're gonna get there. But yeah, Wistful Baton, which instantly transfers those 3 energy to the bench. So that is a way that I do it. And the other way is, if I already have prepared my my other threats, I may start investing energy to this one, depending on my opponent's deck. If my opponent has a lot of evolutions, I will probably not do it. If my opponent doesn't have a lot of evolutions, I will probably invest on this guy because I'm going to knock out his basic Pokemon like easy peasy. Alright, we have 2 of those. Yes, it is an uncommon, believe it or not, and we have 2 of those, and this really helps draw the cards that we want. So I do bench this Staffel quite a lot. Moving on with our next rare, our 3rd rare in this deck, it is an Oranguru. A very strange card because it's an old card which they inserted in this deck, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but it gives you another way to draw cards with the ability Instruct. Once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have 3 cards. Most often, I'm not using this. And the reason why is because we have quite a lot of draw power, so it's very, very, very rare to have Oranguru on the bench and also no more than 3 cards on my hand. If I'm in such a situation, it will help me, definitely will help me, but I consider myself already quite screwed, so I prefer not to be in this place, but it happens sometimes. Nevertheless, even without the Instruct ability, 3 energy for a psychic move, 60 damage plus, this attack does 20 more damage times the amount of energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So most of the times this is going to be 120 damage into a basic rare Pokemon that we see in theme decks all the time. 3 energy for a basic rare, not basic by means of no evolution, but a classic rare Pokemon which deals 120 damage minimum with 3 energy and maybe a drawback or an advantage. That is what I call a basic classic rare in the theme deck category. So, like Oranguru, for example. Oranguru is the perfect classic rare for the theme deck category. So it can deal with its mirror, it can deal with many Pokemon, and this is a good thing. But again, I don't really invest energy heavily to this guy. I treat it almost the exact way that I treat Beware, but the opposite. Like I use Beware when my opponent has basic Pokemon, and I use you know, Oranguru when my opponent has non-basic Pokemon that have quite a lot of energy, energy heavy moves. And then we have one Salandit, which is a 60 HP Psychic type Pokemon with 1 energy Singe, perhaps. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. We see the burn again, which I'm not really a fan of. Actually, we have 2 of these. And we have one Salazzle, which is the last rare of the deck. And this is a good guy. I'm going to review the Severe Poison first, because that is usually what I use first. I use Severe Poison, which is your active Pokemon, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Put 4 damage counters instead of 1 on that Pokemon between turns. This is devastating. I mean, a 120 HP Pokemon needs 3 turns to die, to get knocked out. One is the turn that you apply the poison, the second is the turn that your opponent attacks, so you have a chance to lose this Salazzle, but most of the times you're not really bothered by this one. And the other turn is your turn after your attack. In case that you don't lose Salazzle, this is the perfect opportunity for a nasty plot, and that's what I aim every single time. I do a Severe Poison, and then I go with a nasty plot, and I have awesome value with just 2 turns. Awesome value, 2 turns. I both knocked out my opponent with a Severe Poison, which means a lot, my friends. Knocking down your opponent with poison means a lot. Wishful Buttons do not work. What else? I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that XP share will not trigger. I'm not sure about this, but I think it is true. But yeah, Wishful Button doesn't work because it requires a knockout by damage, by attacking. And nasty Plot with 1 energy again, same energy, so very cheap. Search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Dudes, guys, any 2 cards. This can be a Swillis, it can be a, I don't know, Hydreigon, it could be the energy that you're missing, it could also be Professor Kukui. Great. Sometimes when I'm in a terrible situation, I use this nasty plot right there. I do need to draw the cards that I need to draw, I need to fix my hand, so I use nasty plot from the start. But most of the times, like 90% of the times, I'm using Severe Poison first, then I do my nasty plot. And I very often I use this card, almost every single time I use this card as my way out against Clanging Thunder, which I am 100% weak. Look, all those cards, apart from Mawile, all those other cards are weak to fighting. So Salazzle is my but Salazzle is a very good option against Clanging Thunder. So I use it quite a lot. Unfortunately, it doesn't trigger with Professor Kukui, but this is still fine. Let's go to our trainer cards. I'm gonna start with Rescue Stretcher. Honestly, most of the times I bring one Pokemon from my discard pile straight to my hand because I need this instant action of this card, and I found that most often I bring either a Beware to draw more cards or a Salazzle because I am against Clanging Thunder, of course. Salazzle, that is a very common card that I bring back, or sometimes one of these 3 guys. One of these, either a Dino or a Zillus or a Hydreigon. Most of the times Hydreigon, but not always, okay? Most of the times. But I find way more often bringing a Beware or a Salazzle with this one. Very rarely, but it still happens. I bring 3 Pokemon from my discard pile into my deck, and in this case, most often it is a Dino, Zwillis, and Hydreigon. I bring the whole line in order to have a new fresh threat. We have 2 Nest Balls, and this brings the basic Pokemon. Good thing. In a terrible situation, it can also bring Oranguru, which is very good. Imagine a case where you only have 1 Nest Ball and you bring Oranguru to your bench. You instantly draw 3 cards. Do not underestimate that. We have quite a few powerful basic Pokemon. Oranguru is definitely the most powerful basic Pokemon in this deck. and also Dino is a good investment. So Nest Ball is very good and very useful. We also have 2 timer balls, and that is it is crucial because we have lots of evolution. A timer ball can potentially bring 2 evolutions, so 2 timer balls can bring 4 evolutions, and that is amazing. Most often I usually flip 1 heads and 1 tails. When I mostly need it, I flip 2 tails, and when I don't really care, I flip 2 heads. That is what happens to me. Tell me what happens to you. I hope it happens the other way around, but who knows. We also have 1 switch, which is very powerful, very useful. I use it quite a lot. It has saved me quite a few times. Energy retrieval is very relevant, especially with Hydreigon. When I want to discard my opponent's my opponent's energy card, and I discard mine, I want a fast way to bring them back, and energy retrieval is definitely this one. Also, energy retrieval combos very well in my mind with Sophocles, which is discard 2 cards. Most often I discard energy cards with this one. From your hand, if you do draw 4 cards, I do that. Sophocles with energy, and I draw them back with energy retrieval. I do that quite often. We also have 1 Great Ball, and this is a very strange card. I would not expect a Great Ball in this deck, but I will not complain, I don't care. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Pokemon you find there and put it into your hand, shuffle your other cards back in your deck. This deck is very Pokemon heavy. 23 out of 60 cards are Pokemon, so most often you're gonna hit a Pokemon, and most often you're gonna hit a Pokemon that you want. So this is a good thing. And but most of the Pokemon in this deck are useful, so yeah, you are rarely gonna hit a crappy Pokemon, and even if you do, you're gonna thin up your deck, which is very useful. Then we have next we have an escape rope, pretty self-explanatory, useful. Not always, but still it is useful. But be careful of your opponent's escape rope. Do not leave a single Pokemon in your bench if you don't want this to be surprisingly escape roped. Be very careful of this one. Escape rope is very common in theme decks, and you have to protect this only 1 thread if you're holding it into your bench, especially against Clanging Thunder, which really it is a very strict fight between who has the most cards in the bench. Sometimes it is better to allow your opponent to trigger this Como-O 120 damage attack instead of risking an escape rope. Keep that in mind, a pro tip from Riturus. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a pro tip, but it is a tip nevertheless. We talked about Sophocles, use it wisely. It is a very good card. We have 3 Hows, and that is a very good one because drawing 3 cards, it is always great. It helps us hit those evolutions, hit these energy requirements, because we have quite a lot. Very powerful card, especially combined with the Bewares. It provides a very good draw mechanism. We have 2 Professor Kukuis, draw 2 cards and deal 20 more damage this turn. Very good, very powerful. It is a staple now in this theme deck category. Very useful. We have 1 Wistful Baton, whatever. As I mentioned before, if the Pokemon this card is attached to is your active Pokemon and it is knocked out by damage from any opponent's attack, move up to 3 basic energy cards from that Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. That means that you have instantly prepared your Houndoums, you have instantly prepared your Oranguru, you have instantly prepared your next Hydreigon, and you have instantly prepared your Beware just in case that your opponent has basic Pokemon. Very important, useful for all of your bands. Amazing card, I wish it had 2. If it had 2, it would be so freaking broken. We also have 1 XP share when your active Pokemon is knocked out by damage. See, poison doesn't work. Poison, confusion, paralyzation doesn't, okay. Poison, confusion, and burn doesn't work with XP share and Wistful Baton. When your active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you may move 1 basic energy card from that Pokemon to your to the Pokemon that this card is attached to. I use this quite often, and you can combine it with Wistful Baton. Like, you can transfer 1 with XP share and the rest 2 with Wistful button, so this is a good thing. And that's it, my friends. We have 12 Darkness type energy cards and 8 Psychic type energy cards. Can you freaking believe that? We have those 8 only for this Salazzle right here. And that's a good option because many times I found myself not having this one Psychic type energy and it was devastating. But still, those, 12 basically are good enough for my Hydreigons and also my Houndoums, which require only 1 darkness, and that is very powerful. So overall, fantastic deck. I really underestimated it against the Clanging Thunder because indeed it has a very tough matchup against Clanging Thunder, but still I have won against Clanging Thunder quite a few times, so do not fear it. Go out there, purchase it, learn how to play with it. It's not very easy in the beginning, but it is very doable, very doable to win with this one. So go out there, purchase it, play with it. Tell me in the comments below what your experiences are if you have already purchased this one. Tell me your win rate, your win ratio in the comments below. And until the next episode, I really hope that you enjoyed this deck review. Please leave me everything in the comments below. Check out your screen right now. You'll see quite a few other videos that might interest you. If yes, click any of them and continue watching the content of this channel. If no, consider subscribing right now, join the Rhetorians, and until the next episode, leave a like, and I'm gonna see you, my friends. Bye!